back to Reverend Restore. My name's Keith and today we're on the TVR Tamora and I'm going to deal with a common issue, which is the battery. Specifically today we're going to check the battery, and the MOT is due on the Tamora next month, and I know I've got a split steering rack boot, so we need to do that as well. Now, like I said, the battery on the Tamora is a complete and utter nightmare to get to and replace. So I'll show you how I do that. Today I just want to test the battery to see how good it is. But before we get into today's video, I just wanted to take the opportunity to wish you all a very Merry Christmas. Thanks for your support, and I appreciate you subscribing, giving a thumbs up and watching the channel throughout the year. So I hope you have a great Christmas. So the battery on the TVR Tamora is actually down on this left-hand side, near side if you're sitting inside the car, behind the rear wheel, up inside the wheel arch. So if you can imagine, like this, if I've driven it in here and the battery's gone flat, I have absolutely no hope of getting to that battery at all. In fact, if you look down the side there, there's literally a couple of inches between the cabinet and the car. And you know, if you're driving a car into a garage, you're always gonna put that side up against the wall so you've got enough room to open the door. On this side, there is a little bit of a saving grace. There is an Anderson connector underneath which allows you to connect some jump leads, but it's still a pain to get to. Now me, what I do, in one of the previous videos I'd have shown, I've run a quick connector onto the bonnet here, and I use a battery charge maintainer, battery tender, whatever you want to call it. So if the battery does go flat, I can at least get some power to the car. And being a TVR, unfortunately, if the battery goes flat, you're in a whole world of pain because there are no door locks, there's no door handles. If the window's up as well, you've got no hope of getting into the car. The rear boot is operated electronically, and as to there's no door handles. The actual door mechanism is operated electrically. So when the battery goes flat, you're in a whole world of pain. There is ways of getting into it and effecting entry. I'm not going to show on this video because of security reasons. So obviously we don't want to publish a way of getting into the car without the keys. There are emergency releases inside. So there's an emergency release down here, each side. If, for instance, you have no power, if the window's open, you can at least pull in and open the door. So the first thing I need to do is get the car out, bring it in at a bit of an angle so we can access that side of the car. Having previously done this, it is extremely low underneath for getting a jack in. So what I'll do is I think I'll drive it onto some wooden blocks just to give me an extra couple of inches for getting the jack underneath. So bear with me. Let's get it jacked up and the wheel off from that side. Right, so what I've done here to try and make life easier for myself is I've driven onto a wooden block. It's about 2 inches thick. Just gives you a bit more room to get the jack underneath the car. The Anderson plug I was talking to you for jump starting is just down here. It's literally just where the battery goes. And the jacking point on the Tamora T350 Sagaris and Tuscan, I suspect, is just behind where the battery goes. So we're slacking off these wheel nut bolts now and get it jacked up. So with the wheel off, we can see inside now, and this cover here, the battery's hiding behind it. It's held in, mine's held in with a bolt and a screw, so I don't know why that's been changed at some point. You would think it'd just be 2 screws. Either way, it's on there. So obviously it's not that bad a job to do if you can get access, but if this was stuck up against the side of a garage wall, you would really struggle. So there we go, there's our battery. It's a Banner battery, no idea how old it is. I'm just going to get my battery tester now do a battery test and see what it's like. Right, so I've just done a test. This battery is fully charged because it's been on the battery tender, battery maintainer, sitting at 12.91 volts. I can't see what the cranking capacity should be of it. There's some gaffer tape on the side here. They've probably covered up the ratings, but I'm guessing it's going to be at least sort of 500, 550 amps. When I measure it at 12.91 volts, it's only measuring 320. Should definitely be way more than 320. Obviously that's enough to start the car, but it doesn't leave much in reserve. So as I suspected, it just sounds a bit slow and sluggish turning over. So it looks like that battery is dying. Don't know how old it is. I can probably look back through the receipts actually, but yeah, it looks like we need a new battery. When it comes to replacing it, although there's a lot of cables and that in here, I think it's relatively straightforward. We've got, looks like a clamp down point down in the corner there. We can probably pull that forward carefully, disconnect the negative terminal so we haven't got any worry about shorting out on anything. And then, yeah, it looks relatively straightforward. Obviously I don't have a battery to hand, so that's a job for a later date. When you look inside, actually, we've got the battery vent tube there. We've got various cables running along the top. So yeah, not too bad to do, bit tricky. Right, moving on, we need to do the steering rack boots now, or steering rack boot. So I've got a pair of boots, they come from Motor Clan, very, very useful for TVR parts. I've got a pair of them. I think I actually only need to do the near side front. From memory, the offside was okay, so, but I will just double check. So it's a relatively straightforward job. The only thing we want to be careful of is we're going to have to take this track rod end off. So we want to make sure we count it off and count it back on again in the number of turns, because that adjusts the tracking basically. So if we put it back exactly in the position it came off, the tracking should be fine. As you can see, the boot is split on the outside there, the rest of it's fine. Just held on by cable ties, so we slip the cable tie off on the end in the middle. That boot will then come off. We need to take the lock nut off here, and then we need to take the big nut off the track rod end there and get the track rod end off the hub without damaging this seal here. So I do have a ball joint splitter which should do that without causing any damage, and then we've got to count the track rod end off the number of turns. One, two, three, four, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Right, so that's our steering rack boot off. As you can see, completely knackered. Ball joint was a bit tough to get off. I'm not going to clean this up. I could clean all this rust up here, but actually it's quite useful, because what we'll find is the lock nut will go up to the rusted point. So we're pretty much guaranteed of getting that back on. I did count it off though, it was 15 turns. So just need to put the new boot on now. Always just check your boots. Look about right. The new one actually looks a bit shorter by, I don't know, ½ inch. That's probably just because it hasn't been stretched out, whereas this one has. Yeah, if I pull it a bit, it's pretty much there or thereabouts. It's always worth checking because sometimes the boots are not symmetrical. One boot is longer than the other. So, there we go, we'll push that on all the way there. And then sometimes a fiddly bit is getting the other end in. It might help sometimes we can actually put this track rod back on now. We'll put the track rod on and then we'll turn the steering so we've not got the boot stretched. It will make it a lot easier. So like I said, when that goes back on, it'll only go up to the point that's rusty. So we'll count this on now, just to be sure, but it should be 15 turns. So always count backwards, so 15, 14, 13, 12, 11, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and back to 0. And that is exactly up against the lock nut. So we get that in there, get that buzzed up. Might find this is a bit of a challenge because it's only the taper. It's only the taper in there which is allowing you to put the nut on. So bit of penetrating oil just so it doesn't drag all the way up will make life a bit easier. And then what you might need to do is just apply a bit of pressure on the top. That went on nice and easy. So that's it locked off. We'll just check it's tight by hand. Click, click. Right. Now this bit will probably be a bit fiddly. So yeah, as expected, that was a bit fiddly to get the inside in. Now we just got to pull it out, and can you see how much that's compressed? It's sucked the air in, so let's let a little bit of air back in before we put the cable tie on. There it goes. Kind of re-inflated it a bit. Just want to get it out to roughly the same position it was before on the steering shaft. I think that's close enough. Just got to make sure it doesn't crimp the boot up in either direction. Little cable tie, don't worry, it's not TVR cable ties. Most steering rack boots are cable tied on like this. They're not, it's not like they're holding in grease or anything like that. It's literally just to stop the dust, dirt and grime getting into the boot. So we're locked off there, torqued up there, got clips on either end. Just got to tidy up and put the wheel back on now. Right, so there we go. Relatively straightforward job on the TVR, those steering rack boots. Pretty much the same as any other car out there, from a Mini to a Ford Sierra to a TVR Tamora. They're all pretty much the same to replace. Obviously, I know my battery is on its way out, so I need to go inside now, do a bit of research and make sure I order the right battery. My preferred batteries are probably Bosch or Varta, so I'll be looking for one of them, a good quality battery. And then, yeah, we'll get that fitted. But hopefully this video's been useful to you. If you did enjoy today's video, please remember to give it a thumbs up. If you want to drop me a comment, I do read all the comments. And if you're not a subscriber, please do consider subscribing to the channel. Have a great Christmas, and I'll catch you again on the next one. Cheers.